tragedy became the kind of the trigger to receive a lot of the questions from the Lord. And so as I said in the video, and so that was kind of a big moment. And our missionary focus will be shown later, so I will not talk about this kind of things at this time. So next slide, please. So this is Japan. I'm not sure whether you know the locations. This is entire island of Japan. The stretch over the 1,800 miles from Hokkaido to the north to the Ryukyu Island in the south. So this size of the country is the same as the size of the state of California. And we have a population around 126 million people in this country. And ethnic is more than 98% of our ethnic is Japanese itself. And we are surrounded by the sea and very close to the North Korea and China and Russia. So we are very close to those countries actually. Next slide, please. 75% of the land of Japan is the mountains. So, and rest of the 25% is the land is kind of the place we can stay or live. So we can see a lot of the in the mountains. Also, this is rest of the 25% of the land. So very dense area. The picture you can see on the left-hand side is the picture of the Tokyo. Tokyo is the capital of Japan, and this is also the place I used to work for. And the picture on the right-hand side, this is one of the famous crossing, and at the Shibuya crossing is a very famous area for the young people, and never stop 24/7, and more than 1,000 people cross at the crossing at the same time. So that is kind of what we can see every day, actually. Next slide, please. This must be the famous. Japan must be famous for these things, the sushi, and I'm sure the sushi is still famous here in this area, maybe. And also a lot of the old companies, automotive company like Toyota, Nissan, or Lexus, Subaru, Mazda, Honda. So those came from the Japanese company, and also. Baseball is a kind of a very famous in the sports in Japan. And also rest of the things might be also famous in the secular world.
It's working now.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Okay. Also, Japan is very famous for the high-tech country, and we can see a lot of the technologies over there. Regarding the religion, this is just a general view of the religions we can see in Japan. Normally, pie chart has to be the 100%. But if you can see, the orange on the top is a 67%, and down is a 79%. It's more than 100% already, so it doesn't make sense. But many people in Japan say, I'm believe in the Shinto, or I believe in the Buddhism. So they don't know what they believe actually. So government just gathered only all the information, then put together, then became like this. But actually, so there's a lot of the temples and shrines in Japan, and more than 150,000 shrine temples in Japan. So every corner of Japan you can see. Not like this. This is one of the most biggest in the shrine temple, but when you go to the corner of the street, so you can see a very small shrines or temple everywhere in Japan. And this is our actual view of the current religion in Japan. More than 60% of people is atheist. If we ask somebody, what do you believe? They may say, oh, maybe Shintoism or Buddhism, but they don't believe anything actually. So more than 60% of the people is atheist, and 30% is must be the Buddhism or Shintoism, And the Christianity is less than 1%. Evangelical Christian is less than 0.5% for the whole times. So this is the actual review of the religion in Japan. A lot of the hopeless, 11% of Japanese are wishing they have never been born, and 85% of the young people wondering why they are still existing. So there's a lot of the hopeless in Japan. Okay. And also over 22,000 people commit suicide annually, amounting to the 60 people per day. So this is still ongoing in Japan. Also, we have a lot of cults in Japan, and many people have a fear of the religion. Japan has about 183,000 registered cults group, and it's well known as the cult capital of the world. So the picture you can see is a kind of mass wedding ceremony, and you can see the men and the women and in the wedding ceremony. So do you know when they meet each other? They only meet a couple of days before this wedding. Then they were introduced by the religion, and they were told this is God's will. That's why you guys meet, that you guys have a marriage. Then they show up in the wedding ceremony. Then they have this kind of wedding. So this is done by one of the cult. It's called the Unification Church, which came from the South Korea. So it's kind of very dominated a lot of the cult right now. So Japanese need Jesus Christ to receive the true salvation and hope. So this is what we need right now. Maybe I can skip this one. So Japan is called also the graveyard for the mission. Many missionaries came to Japan and left Japan, and because there's not much people to are saved, so it's called the graveyard for the missions. But more than 95% of the people of Japanese are unreached yet. So we need more workers going to Japan, and we need more believers in Christ. And we have a lack of the resources in the church in Japan. So that is kind of a real reason why we are so low rate of the Christianities right now. This kind of a trend of the number of the Christians in Japan. You can see in the right-hand side, which is kind of a 900, sorry, early 40s, and so started, and then growing rapidly. But now we can see a rapid down in the number of the Christians. And this is done by one of the survey by Tokyo Christian University. So they just categorize the two portion, Protestant or Catholic. And Catholic is kind of the flat, but a Protestant is going down right now. So our evangelical the church is included in the Protestant area. But the whole time, the whole Christianity is less than 1%. Even include the Catholic. I don't think the Catholic is the Christian, but even we include the Catholic is less than 1%, a very low rate. Current issues at the evangelical church is 4 things. First thing is the evangelical Christians, which is a very low rate. And also annual growth of the evangelical church is negative 4%, which is very lower. And also going down. And 20% of the churches have no pastors. And that is increasing faster right now. Every time we go back to Japan, we are told, oh, that pastor resigned, that church lost the pastor. So that is happening right now in Japan. And the age of the pastor in Japan is close to the 70 years old. 10 years ago, that was 60 years old. Now, 10 years later, 70 years old, means there's no replacement over the past 10 years. So we cannot allow to do the same trend in the next 10 years. So it's going to be very difficult to maintain the church with the 80 years old pastors for rest of their life. So this is our mission field in Japan. And as I said, Japan is kind of a very long island, and our mission field will be Tohoku region, which is a little bit northern part of Japan. Those area has only 0.25% of Christianity. So as I said, in the whole Japan is at 0.5%, so still low. But if you go to the north, it's still low, more or less, and 0.25% of Christianity. So those areas consist by the 6 prefectures, and which is 8.5 million people. And almost 10 years ago, we had a bigger earthquake and a tsunami over there. And that earthquake and tsunami hit one of the, you can see the NPP, that is a nuclear plant, power plant, which is located in that area. And after that, that area was kind of locked down for a long time, and still locked down, and for the next 20, 30 years from now on. But not for the entire region of the Tohoku area. And we had several of the missionaries from the U.S. to be there, but no more missionaries to come anymore due to the strong rumor of the ongoing spread of radioactive contaminations from that accident happened at that time. So rapid spiritual down in the existing Baptist church in the believers due to the increase of the no pastor church right now. There's only 10 fundamental independent Baptist church over there for the 8.5 million people area. So this is one of the area we are going to. It's called Fukushima. We have a kind of the number of the churches, Baptist church over there. Most of the churches are planted by the missionary from the U.S. Started from back in the 50s, and we are very glad to have the number of the churches by Baptist missionary over there. But now what we are facing right now is we lost the pastors, and very quickly, and we don't have we have the 7 Baptist church over there, but 3 churches has no pastors right now. And one of the church has a pastor, but he is already 80 years old. So we need to start looking for the replacement. And other church has 64 years old, 62, 45 years old, 73 years old. So still maybe okay, but we need to start looking for the next generation of the pastor as well. So this is what we are facing right now. And each church is very small, less than 10 or 15 in attendance of the church. But definitely we have a believer over there needs to be taken care of. This is one of the example in facing the critical situations. This is called the Koriyama Baptist Church, which was planted by the U.S. missionary back in the 50s, more than 50 years ago. And right now is 15 to 20 attendees, and lost the pastor in the last January, not this year, lost January 2022. And actually, my wife came from this church, and I was there for 4 years when I was a college student. So right now is they have the live stream sermon on the Sunday with the other church, but there's no baptism, no Lord's Supper, no wedding night service, and no outreach, no training at all for over the past 2 years. And this is a very, very in a critical situation right now. So we have a big burden for these kind of churches in Fukushima right now. So our mission roadmap in the future is step one is supporting those small and no pastor church in Fukushima. Then second step is the training and discipleship. Then after that, we'd like to plant the church in the other area in the Tohoku area, which we still don't know yet, but I'm sure that God will lead us to where the location He wants us to do. For so hath the Lord commanded us, saying, I have set thee to be a light over the Gentiles, that thou shouldest be for the salvation unto the end of the earth. Acts 13:47. So with this verse, that we'd like to move on to what God wants us to do in the future. So please pray for the Japan, and also more workers for the soul winning. So we need more workers to the Japan. So thank you very much. So I would like to ask my wife to pass on to her a brief testimony.
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I grew up in a rural town in Fukushima, Japan. Since my family was not Christian, I grew up with the custom of worshiping various gods. I went to shrines and temples to worship, and there were also various worship events for the various gods in the community where I lived. We had a Butsudan, Buddhist altar, at home. The altar is like a small temple where we worshipped our ancestors. My grandmother worshipped at the altar every morning, and I used to do the same. However, I sometimes wondered what kind of gods they were, whom we had to go to see, and wondered, maybe there is a bigger God who is always watching me and knows everything about me. Then one day, some people came to show us a picture story in front of our elementary school. The missionaries did a picture story of Jesus Christ. It was the first time I saw Americans, and I heard the story of Jesus Christ for the first time in my life. They told us that God who created the world loves us, but that we cannot go to heaven because of our sins. Yet Jesus Christ, the Son of God, took our punishment on the cross in our place, and they said that we can go to heaven just by believing. I believed in Jesus then. I knew that the gods I had been worshiping was not the true God. However, there were no churches in my area, so I forgot about Jesus Christ. One day, when I was in junior high school, another missionary group told me about Jesus Christ at the gate of the junior high school. At that time, I made a definite decision that I would believe in this God. On the back of the tract they gave me, it said that they would send me a small Bible if I wanted one. So I received a Bible every night before going to bed. I read that small Bible and prayed, God, please let me go to a high school that is near a church so that I can go. God answered my prayer. I went to a high school away from home. I started going to Koreama Baptist Church. Gradually, I realized how wonderful God is. I was happy to continue attending church. I was saved because of the work of missionaries. I'm grateful to God and His people in America for sending them to such a small country area to save people, including me. It has been about 2 years since I came to the United States from Japan due to my husband's work. In July last year, Brother Ben Remus from our church was taken to heaven in an accident. It was a big shock to us, but I was very impressed by the various testimonies of the Remus family. Ben's parents wished for the person who caused the accident to hear the gospel. Also, the churches as a whole continued to pray and sought God's will, knowing that the Lord desires that we proclaim the gospel at all times. Through this incident, I realized that I don't know how much more time I have left on earth. So I have decided that I want to walk in a way that is pleasing before the Lord. How? The Lord showed me that in order to do so, my first priority should be to share the gospel. Then my husband was suddenly ordered to be transferred. After that, when my husband asked me to pray about becoming a missionary to Japan instead of going back to Japan to continue working, I was very surprised. If it were 2 years ago, I would have said to my husband without praying, "It's impossible. We are not young, not gifted, and more than that, we are not good enough Christians for that." But in our church, we have been taught that it is not what we have or what we can do. It is the Lord who will do it. So I decided to pray. The Lord showed me in His Word and made a decision to follow the Lord with my husband and to prepare myself to be a missionary. We are thankful that God is willing to use us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking your time with us. So, any questions or anything, sir, we can answer this time? Yes, sir.
So you mentioned about all of the independent fundamental Baptist churches that are there and the struggles that they're having.
Yes.
Are there any other evangelical churches, true Christian churches that are actually really preaching the Bible there other than the Baptist ones?
Yes, actually, there's another Baptist church around here, but they are very much the radical of the Calvinist.
Oh, really?
So yeah, and so that is the area I cannot work with them. So so it's a lot of and even the 0.5% of the Christianity, we have many kinds of different type of the denomination of Christianity in Japan. So we can see a lot of the Baptists, but yeah, we can see a lot of the not a lot, but some, yes.
Right, but in your area there aren't a whole lot of like Because at least around here, we have a lot of independent churches where they just don't affiliate with the
Oh, okay,
denomination,
yeah.
but they still preach the Bible really well.
I see.
Are there any around that area?
No, no much. Yes, ma'am.
When you go back to Japan, will you take over a church that don't have a pastor, or will you start your own?
Yes, as a missionary, someday I have to plant a church. But before doing that, we have a burden from the Lord to take care of one of the church who doesn't have a pastor, because they are facing a very, very critical situations. As missionary, yeah, it's a very good to plant a new church or somewhere, and that's going to be my things, but God's things, and to do. But what we are facing right now is they are dying right now. And so they were planted by the U.S. missionary before, that's good, right? We cannot let them go down. So God definitely work in our hearts to help the situation right now first. Then, and after that, after they are revived by themselves, then, and so we can go to the next step. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Do they teach religions in school in Japan?
Could you say again, please?
Do they teach any religion in the schools?
No. Domo. Yeah, I don't think they teach any religions, and they teach kind of the number of the type of the religion, but they don't teach anything. But they are very kind of liberal. So they teach about the revolutions, about those things as the study, but they don't teach the Bible at all. Yes.
You were talking about a religion called Chatu. What type of religion is that?
The picture I showed. You mean?
Shintoism.
Oh, Shintoism.
Yeah.
Shintoism is the this is the origin from Japan, and they believe the 8 million deities. Anything can be a god. Anything in the stone, big stones which admire something, and they try to make that stone as a god, something like that. And trees, like a 300 years old tree, something which is a big one, and admire them something, spiritually something. Then they said, oh, this can be a god. So they believe those kind of the things, and they believe in the end 8 million deities. So it's very difficult to find out which is right God, or which one the one God they believe. They don't believe only one God. They believe everything they believe. It can be the God. So the purpose is animism, wish for the family and a local community. So it's got a very fuzzy kind of religion they believe. So it's not a kind of a not only one the things that they believe at all. Do you know what the difference between these two pictures? Do you know what the difference about the temples, the shrines? It's kind of different.
One is Buddhist, one is Shinto.
Yeah. So do you know which one is
The
Shinto?
one on the left is Shinto, the one on the right is Buddhist.
Oh, yes, yeah. How did you find that?
I actually had to do a lot of religious studies. For my
Oh,
degree.
okay, good. So, also?
Yeah, Buddhists especially, their goal is more to attain enlightenment. They have to separate themselves from the world.
Mm-hmm.
And Buddha was supposed to be the first one who became godlike.
Yes.
And so for them, in order to do that, they have to separate themselves from the world, constantly beat their bodies down,
Yeah.
constantly sacrifice the world to achieve nirvana.
Yes, yep. Yeah, that's true. Oh, so you know more than I do. So thank you for explaining that. And apparently, you can find out the difference in gates. You can see the big gates, right?
Yep.
That is for the shrines from the Shintoists. So all of the shrines, the temple has the gates is the from the Shintoism. So you can see, but most of the Japanese don't know what the difference is actually. So they believe they're both things at the same time by feeling. Oh, this must be good for me. Oh, this must be good for me, or something like that. So any other questions? I think it must be a time to. Yes, sir.
How are the Japanese people responsive to a person who comes up to them and gives them a tract or witnessing to them on the street? Are they open to that?
Yeah, that's a very good question, sir. It's very difficult to talk about the gospel at the first time to see the unknown persons. They try to be nice to say hello to, try to be open, smile, but they don't open the heart to the unknown person. So we have to create our relationship first, individually. Then we can talk about the more detailed things. Yes.
Are they more open to working with a Japanese missionary versus an American missionary? Are they more open to working with you because you're Japanese?
Yes. Actually, we spent a couple months in Japan this year. Visited the many local Baptist church, fundamental church, to work with us. So yes, they are very much open to work with us in the future. So.
And because of your Japanese, would the people you think are going to be easier, they're more willing to work with you than they would with an American?
Yeah, in the language-wise, yes. Also, I've been 30 years in the Christian in Japan as a Baptist. So yeah, it's very easy for us to work with us, work together, locally. So that might be one of the bigger benefit or the good things to do that. So we don't have any language issues. We have a language issue here in the United States right now, but we will not have any language issues in the mission field in the future. Right, so Pastor, thank you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and break